In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here, your favourite mummy's boy with the expats Portugal's very own Good Morning Portugal live stream. How are you this morning? Do let me know how you're doing. Lighting looks a bit strange in here this morning. How are you anyway? Everything's sounding and looking okay for you. Join us for the next 90 minutes. Yes, 90 minutes, folks. We do this every weekday, where we help you celebrate your love of Portugal, whether you're moving here or you're firmly ensconced or you're just beginning your journey, your new life here in Portugal. Let us know how we can help. 913-590-303 is the number to send your videos and pictures to. That's especially pertinent to my question in the ticker tape at the bottom there. How was your weekend in Portugal? I have pictures I want to share with you that I've just taken. I think I probably took a few over the weekend, but I was just I took pictures, but I was taken myself by the beautiful dewdrops just hanging from the pampas grass. Not code. Again, I always like to point that out. But as I took the dogs out this morning, the pampas grass had these beautiful dewdrops, diamonds in the rough almost, just sparkling there in the rising sun. And I captured that for you. So hopefully I'll be able to bring that to you this morning, of course. Looking at the Ukrainian crisis and what we can do to help people. The Ukrainian community. Did you know the Ukrainian community in Portugal is the second biggest diasporic, or the largest incoming population or nation population after the Brazilians here in Portugal? It's the Ukrainians, which began, I think, in the late 90s. When Ukrainian folk first came to Portugal, and they are a considerable community, and we're looking at how we can help, or how Portugal is responding indeed. And of course, that will tie in very nicely to Gilda's experience of that. Gilda here, of course, from EI on Migration Monday. Hey, yes, Assessore Immigrant, helping you with your migration questions and having a look at, you know how it is with Gilda. It's as much a cause for her as it is a business, helping people come to Portugal. And I'm sure she'll have something useful and interesting to say if you have family, if you're Ukrainian and if you have friends and family who want to come to Portugal for a safe haven. I think that's possible. So we will find. See, you mentioned pampas grass, and it comes up. Pete's straight on it, of course. Yeah, and I'm going to come to all your comments in just a moment. But yeah, Ukrainian folks, if you are Ukrainian, if you have Ukrainian family or even friends, I believe have been offered a safe haven here in Portugal, and we will find out more about that. And how are you, of course? How is this affecting you? If you're in a far off distant land, if you're not in Portugal already, and you're concerned about how in some quarters this is being presented as war in Europe, then of course you might be thinking to yourself, whoa, moving to Portugal, Europe, war in Europe, what's happening over there? And I think that can be quite difficult, not knowing. Well, it's difficult to know what's happening anywhere at the moment. There's more information, but it's kind of getting harder and harder, isn't it, to discern what's actually going on, if you see what I mean. What's Pete saying about pampas grass? Ooh, pampas grass out the front. Yes, like what? Like a mullet. Business at the front, party at the back. Or is it the other way around if you've got pampas grass out the front? Remember my mum burning ours and blocking the Kew Road for an hour. Hey, well done, Mum. Was that a sign to the community, I wonder? But it must go up. Like a house on fire. Hopefully just the front garden. Well, hopefully not, but you see what I mean. Extremely flammable then. Be careful with the pampas grass, which I think is becoming a bit of a scourge around the Portuguese countryside. It does like the conditions, like all of us do. Good morning, Evra. Oh, okay. Coach Tennis in Evra. Move from the Algarve. We do have another Algarve, a 2-minute taster from Dougie. Tavira Nights, which sounds like a popular comedy show from And with Dougie at the helm on that, there could be a few comedic moments there. But Coach Turner, of course, was in the Algarve. Now in Evora, by the sound of it. Change of venue yesterday, driving from Praia de Luz to Montchique for lunch. Montchique, of course. And on to the Alentejo. Sun's up here this morning and the birds are singing. What a lovely contrast from the Algarve to the Alentejo. Did you stop off on the way, Coach, to get yourself some breakfast? I haven't had a chance to eat it. But this, my friends, you haven't had toast until you come to Portugal. I haven't got the biggest fingers in the world, it has to be said, but you get a sense of the scale there of how big toast is. That's your torrada. Don't order dourada, order torrada for Jenga for breakfast, basically. That's not cut up into the 3 fingers that it might be in a Portuguese cafe or restaurant in the morning. I haven't had a chance to eat it, busy preparing things for you this morning. But don't forget to try that if you haven't already. Believe me, if you haven't had toast in Portugal, you haven't had toast. Jenga for breakfast there. Right. Hope you have a great time in Evora. And more seriously, of course, Coach Turner, thoughts are with all the citizens of Ukraine. Yeah, and anyone, anyone in this crazy world of ours who is affected by war and the narcissistic, psychopathic behavior of a small number of individuals who seem to still hold a large sway over our lives. The rest of us who just want to get on with it and enjoy life. And a handful of idiots, I'm going to call them this morning, who seem to make that quite challenging. Okay, thoughts, loves, prayers, whatever it is you do to send out your best wishes to folks in these difficult situations. Let's do that again this morning. Again, see, Matty's here as well, but thank you, Coach, for that sentiment, and I'm sure that will be echoed by others here. Bon dia a todos, and of course the regular people of the Russian nation as well, who I'm sure many of whom don't want this either. Again, I refer you to the psychopathic, sexually frustrated madmen of the world who cause a lot of trouble. Actually, we did get a little bit of first-person testimony via Dougie, who was in the Algarve, who bumped into a bunch of Ukrainian sports people, I think, down there. So when we play Dougie's 2-minute taster, we'll also have a look at that. And we will look at a number of angles on this and what can be done to help people in this most immediate crisis that we seem to have on our hands that is so close to home. And I was sent a very good note, actually. I must open up Facebook because I reached out. I'm sorry to use that cliche, but I got some. Well, I asked people who I thought might know something about this, and I got a very interesting response back about how we might handle and deal with this situation. I'll come back to that in a little while. Bom dia a todos de Amsterdam e bom segunda-feira. How was your weekend there, Matty? And how are you at the moment? Thunder's in as well. T-Duck, Bon dia alegria, Gumper Nation. It's always good to check in every morning. I always find it especially good to check in on a Monday morning. Make sure everyone's okay. All the Gumpers, you're right. This is your sheltered housing, sheltered accommodation warden call in the morning, pushing the buzzer. You're right there, T-Duck. Have a nice weekend. What you got? You got any plans today? Going to have a little wander about Lisbon? Bon dia alegria, Gumper Nation from him, and day 300 since we applied at the IMT. Still no driver's licenses. My second temporary expires in a month, and Mrs. Duck finally has an appointment to get her first temporary in 2 weeks. We will be testing you on this information later on. Stephen Wright quote of the day from the T-Duck, and I hope you enjoyed our Bubble Off Centre podcast. Who did ask the question, war, what is it good for? I mean, people have increasingly got no appetite for this, have they? I was listening to Jazz FM this morning, and I remember probably 20 or 30 years ago, a presenter, I think in the, what would it have been? Which Gulf War was that? But the announcement of the news, and he played War. I think he played the Edwin Star Trek War, what is it good for? And he got fired promptly for doing that, for making a political reference. A little bit more obliquely, perhaps, one of his colleagues, who's still on Jazz FM this morning, played the Young Disciples track. What have we learned? Apparently nothing. I just think people are not going to hide behind these sort of corporate conventions. Let's call it out for what it is. Stupidity, right? Well, that's what I'm doing anyway. What do you think? Stephen Wright quote of the day. I went to San Francisco. I found someone's heart. Yes, and of course you would. I hope you handed it in there, Stephen Wright. And I hope it's been claimed. Isn't that an awful feeling, walking around without one or with a broken one? George Carlin quote of the day. Age is a hell of a price to pay for wisdom. George, it might have had something to do with your lifestyle as well, mate. But yes, we get the sentiment, don't we? And I'm sure. Well, this is a great segue into one of the videos I want to share with you this morning. What a great picture to be sharing, Roman. Now, what do I say? Yaramchuk? I don't know if I've got that right, and I don't know if what I'm putting on the screen is at all appropriate or savory. Do you? But I think we can safely trust Eusebio to put something up pithy, useful, and informative in the Russian language there. So he may translate that for us, but he goes on to say more about Benfica, and we can neatly segue, as I say, into Roman Yaremchuk and the amazing scene that was seen there at the, is it Stadium of Light? Anyway, at Benfica's ground. War is rich old men. There's a George Carlin quote. Second of the day, different source via the prof this time. War is rich old men protecting their property by sending middle-class and lower-class young men off to die. Always has been, says George Carlin. This we know, right? And still it continues. What can we do to interfere with this process? I wonder, we ask ourselves yet again. Moaz is here. Bon dia, Carly. Todos. And Moaz saying, like the coach, my thoughts and prayers with the people of Ukraine. Putin ordered his generals to put his nuclear forces on high alert. Just crazy. Yep, and I'm sure he's not going to be the only. He and his pals are not going to be the only world leaders rattling their sabers. What we do need people who've paid the price of age and who are wise. There don't seem to be many wise people at the helm of world affairs, do they? It doesn't seem like that to me anyway. And I know as soon as I say that, we can get into some of the most unholy conversations that occur on the screen. But anyway, let's not avoid things, shall we? Let's talk about them. And the usual rules apply. Respectful, legal. I think that's it, isn't it? Respectful and legal. And stick around to clear up the mess. That's the other one, isn't it? I'm not sure. I don't really like the old... It's kind of warlike in its own way, isn't it? It's just sort of carpet bombing the comments with your opinions and then buggering off and leaving other people to feel the pain of that. If you want to say something, fine, but stick around and please have the good grace, respect, and whatever else it is to stick around and talk about it and engage in a respectful, legal, and good way with other people. And because you might learn something, and we might learn something from you. Baldilocks is here. Good morning, Gumpers from California. How you doing, Baldilocks? And today in Portuguese history. Look at this. Today in Portuguese history 1904. Sporting, Sport Lisboa e Benfica is founded. Nearly said sporting then, didn't I? Sport Lisboa e Benfica. That would not have gone down well. I don't get many complaints, but I think I would have got some there, confusing Sporting and Benfica. But anyway, Sport Lisboa e Benfica is founded, as well as men and women's football. Benfica has also teams in other sports, including roller hockey and billiards. And that's one of the great things about Portuguese football and football clubs, isn't it? And sport generally. Comprehensive, embracing of other sports are available. You might not think it when you go into a cafe in Portugal, but Portuguese people, culture, love the sport, all kinds, roller hockey and billiards, to name just two there. Thank you for that, Prof. And they are indeed the most decorated club in Portugal, Benfica. They've won 80 domestic trophies, including a record 37 Primeira Liga titles. Internationally, they won back-to-back European Cups in 1961 and 62. It's going back a bit, but no disrespect there. And while we're on Benfica, let's have a look at this. This is a beautiful moment. Let me take this off the screen for just a minute, Prof. Thank you for these, of course. And let me play you this because this was a beautiful moment coming from Benfica's ground in the last week. No, it doesn't take much to make me well up, as you'll know if you watch this. And I defy you not to be moved somewhat by that happened there. And it's the sound of the crowd, isn't it, to quote Phil Oakey there. What a beautiful moment at the Benfica Stadium there. As, of course, let me just get that name right. And thank you for your help with this, Prof. Roman Yaremchuk, a Ukrainian player at Benfica there. Who's and the crowd showed him exactly how they felt about the situation. Wasn't that amazing? A simple, I think that's a Ukrainian flag there. doesn't necessarily translate and come through. So, but I think we get the sentiment there. Suze, good morning to you. And today in Portuguese history, number 2. 1969 earthquake struck Western Portugal and Morocco at 2:40 in the morning. You don't want an earthquake at any time of the day, do you? But when you're sleeping and the bed starts moving, and not for good reason, that's pretty terrifying, isn't it? Originating west of the Strait of Gibraltar, the earthquake registered a magnitude of 7.8. That's one of those that does make itself felt, doesn't it? My goodness. 1969. Hola, bon dia from Chris Smith. Hello, Chris. How are you? Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for being here, Chris. Appreciate it. Marty as well. Bon dia, Gumpers. Hoping you're all well and hoping sanity prevails. Well, I can only hope, Marty. Worried for Ukraine and all of humanity. Best wishes from Alaska. Thank you, Marty. Of course. Hear, hear. Gary, bon dia to all Gumpers and friends of Ukraine. Good morning to you, Gary. Thank you for that. Baddy, bon dia, Gumpers. How you doing, Baddy, this morning? And MC Slug. MC Slug! Now, I think we know who this is. As I cast a glance over the comments this morning, there's someone new here, MC Slug. But MC Slug, I think, is looking a lot like James. And he's gone through a prince-like transformation. The Gumper, formerly known as James, has now, formally by the look of it, launched his career as a rapper using the name MC Slug, part of our larger hip-hop band here, the OLP. That's been a bit of band politics, isn't it? OLP got banned, of course, by mistake, but still the pain was felt. And that's what happens in bands, isn't it? Let's face it. But Feliz segunda a todos. Estuda português em média 30 minutos por dia nos últimos 3 dias. Well done there, James. Keeping it up. I'm glad to see in Ericeira. MC Slug keeping it up in Ericeira. Who doesn't like? Anyway, etc., etc. Bom dia, Campus from a foggy Nadadouro. May we find peace. Yes, and as Jenny B told us, has told us before now, peace begins with me, doesn't it? And I know there's quite a. It's not an irony exactly, is it? But this great paradox, contradiction, call it what you will. When we see a lack of peace in the world, I suppose that causes us to lose our peace. And still, I maintain that peace does begin with us. It's we don't hold a steady state, us humans. We're known for it. That's perhaps at the root of war as well. But may we find peace indeed, Cindy. And I think it does start at home, doesn't it? And of course, it is accompanied by righteous anger and concern and anxiety and worry and all those things that humans go through that Lonnie McLaughlin knows a lot about. Good morning to you, Lonnie. How are you? We all know a lot about it. I think Lonnie has a special angle and leverage on these matters as well. Good morning to you, Lonnie. What say you on all of this? Pam Smith is here as well from Alcabasa. Bon dia to you, Pam. There's something I wanted to ask you, and I forget now. It will come back to me. Pam, of course, part of our team at the Ask Our Expats, who, of course, this week taking over the show like the big bro. And they are here on Thursday, the Ask Our Expats team. We ask them anything on the first Thursday of every month, the webinar, the Portugal Calling webinar. Here it is. So ask them anything from 7:30. And this week, Ana Vieira, you know Ana Vieira, don't you? If you've ever seen a webinar on a Thursday night, you'll know Anna turns up very, what's the word, assiduously. She's often there, is another way of putting it, because I don't know if that is the right word. And she's talking about pets in Portugal, and I'm sure the others will chip in, including Pam, who has a cat, obviously, as you can see there. Oh, yes, Pooch and Pussy action. We haven't had any of that for a little while. Or speak for yourself, Munson. But I have been sent some excellent pictures just over the weekend. Please prompt me if I fail to show the pictures you've taken time to send in. Always happy to share them, and they are in great volume. Some get missed. Do please re-prompt, if you will. But that's Thursday night. Actually, while we're here, let's have a look at how the week is unfolding for us, shall we? Here on the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and at expatsportugal.com. And of course, we'll have Serenity with us tomorrow. If you've got any questions about the Portuguese health system, Michael or one of his colleagues, Michael Averbook from Serenity, will be here. The case managers, the concierge, the medical concierge, another angle on health. Of course, we speak to the doc on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month. Serenity also here to answer questions about health here in Portugal and how to. I mean, most of the people incoming, certainly with the D7, will have health insurance, and Serenity are excellent at helping you interface and connect with the health services you've purchased. So that's tomorrow, Tuesday. And Heronius Maximus. Actually, no. What it's going to be? Oh, it is the first Tuesday. Of course, it is. It's last day of February. Would you believe today? That's thrown me, isn't it? And I know a lot of you are giving up alcohol for February 29th to 31st. Well done, you lot. Congratulations on that. Hope it goes well. So back to the schedule. And we have Serenity tomorrow and Heronius Maximus, Michael Heronin on Wednesday. What do you want him to talk about? I know a lot of you love Michael. I got to keep my eye on that guy. You know how quickly he was happy to take over the show when I had some technical difficulties. But I know a lot of you love him. And what do you want him to talk about on Wednesday? Great oracle and font of wisdom, Portuguese wisdom, expat wisdom. And on Thursday, will Laundrygate, will curb appeal raise its head on Thursday? Wiley returns, everybody. I've got a meme to share with you. Just to get ahead of that. And Jenny B, as I mentioned, Jenny B, of course, here for Feel Good Friday on this coming Friday, first one of this month. So Laundrygate, look at this. I wonder if I should show this. Look, it dries the washing using the very latest technology, a combination of solar and wind power. Some prefer that out in the back garden, no, not lowering your curb appeal at the front. Wiley, if you're watching, prepare yourself for Thursday. When we go to your neck of the woods and find out about Cascais. And Wiley's great more generally on buying property in Portugal and how to go about it. And dared raise the matter of curb appeal and different tastes. Let's leave it there, shall we, this morning? Different tastes on this very matter. Now, let's get back to your comments, shall we? 7 minutes to go until Gilda arrives with us. Oh, I did want to share with you. And we'll do the 2-minute taster later. Tavira Night seems like quite a good way to end the show today, isn't it? To resolve things before we join you again tomorrow morning, of course, every weekday from 8:30. But let me show you the a more general Portuguese response on Instagram to what's going on in the Ukraine. And I didn't actually know about this, but the Portuguese state government has an Instagram, as you might imagine, gov_PT. We'll find that for you on Instagram. Antonio Costa, forgive me for wussing out on this translation here, but I'm not going to translate it in real time. I'm going to let Google do that. In this difficult time, says Antonio Costa, you might want to read the Portuguese yourself there in the comfort of your own home. In this difficult time, Portugal reiterates its call for peace. Are you seeing that on the screen? Yes, you are. And demonstrates its solidarity with Ukraine. So in this difficult time, Portugal reiterates its call for peace and demonstrates its solidarity with Ukraine. We will continue to make every effort to find a diplomatic solution. Our country will also speed up the issuance of visas for all Ukrainian citizens who have family, friends, and acquaintances here and who want to seek refuge here. Isn't that great? Via Instagram from Antonio Costa and gov_PT if you want to follow on Instagram. So there's the government response, Portuguese government response. Sarah's here. Sarah Yerman, bon dia from Yerman HQ, the new Yerman HQ in Setúbal. Good choice, I think. Setúbal, of course, attracting the attention of a lot of incoming folk more recently, and the hometown of José Mourinho. Bon dia, Alegria. Just for your information, for friends in the Ukraine, pets in Ukraine can travel without documents in Moldova, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Estonia, Latvia, Hungary, and Finland. So this is, I guess, in an emergency, people might consider leaving their pets behind for fear of not being able to take them across the border. So free movement without documents in those countries: Moldova, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Estonia, Latvia, Hungary, and Finland there. Thank you, Pete, for that. MC Slug, only two energies at the core of human experience: love and fear. Love grants freedom, fear takes it away. Absolutely right. Thank you for that. Love invites full expression, fear punishes it. Love invites you always to break the bonds of ignorance. And I hope we lean that way. We lean towards love. It's not always easy, is it? Because we're going against our conditioning. We're going against the world of separation. Something happened to us, didn't it? What you might metaphorically refer to as the fall or something of that kind. Whatever your iconography metaphors are, something happened to us, didn't it, to separate us? Even with our well-meaning ideas that have us call other people idiots. That's the beginning of your separation right there. That leads to war, that does. Pampas grass again, but thank you, MC Slug. Oh, I just want to say, MC Slug, Bon dia, Gumpers, from Brian Taylor, restoring order and sensibleness. Possibly, Brian, would that be you? In the comments this morning. Gumper Brian is here. And Dougie, the aforementioned. I think the sailing lads and lasses who are in Villamora have headed back in light of current events. Now, Doug, well, we've got you here, and I'm going to read some of the sentiments I think that you captured while you were there. You had to walk down to meet the Ukrainian young folk who were there on a sporting appointment, not realizing what was going to be unfolding back home. And so, yeah, there was some sort of competition over in the Algarve, vans from UK and Ireland too, or sailing possibly. And he had a conversation with the Ukrainian sailors, and he says, by no means do Ukrainians look at Russian people as their enemies. Indeed, because that's what we're about here, isn't it? Human to human, people to people, not this incredible so-called leader level of stuff who couldn't lead anything out of a paper bag, so to speak. But anyway, far from it. Young Russian kids are no different from any other youngsters around Europe. Young Russian kids see Putin as a deluded old man hankering for the Soviet past. They see him as a dangerous fanatic. Young people want peace. They want a cleaner, more progressive world. Biden, Trump, and Putin have all had their day, according to Doug and the young folks that he met and spoke to. The world should be run by people who have an interest in the future. Well said, Dougie. Young people, yes, with experienced guidance, but with a vested interest in a better future. I think I'm tearing up again, Dougie. Thank you for that. It was good to see people out enjoying Carnival again in Alcobaça over the weekend. Yes, we must, as sad and anxious as we might be about so-called war in Europe, but you know there is suffering going on. It's the same themes as the pandemic conversation, isn't it? Got to keep our wits about us. We've got to remember that life is good underneath it all, and it must have been beautiful to see people out again enjoying Carnival in Alcobaça. I know it wasn't the only city enjoying such a situation. Carnival back. In the community where it belongs, right? Thank you, Pam, for saying that. Full disclosure from MC Slug. My greeting this morning was aided by Google. Yes, thank you for that. We thought that's okay. We weren't suspicious of you or anyone else using Google here, although that may change. Estou aprende. Yes. Sí, push. Bon dia, great from Mark as well. And Michelle has rumbled you as well. Is that you, James, in the slug suit? And going under the name of MC Slug. Bon dia, Carl Gilda and the Gumpers from a sunny Wiesbaden, Germany. 11 days until retirement. 18 days until we drive across the border from Spain to Portugal on our way to Tavira. Stay tuned, Jim. Tavira nights, courtesy of Dougie a bit later on. And Al Smith is here. This is the way. What does that mean? Prayers to all Ukrainians. So sorry for what's happening. Protesting against the war in Moscow and scared of being arrested for doing so. Any chances for a Russian to get D7 or it's delayed, cancelled? Yes, and we go back there, don't we, to the Russian people? Is that where you are? And is that where you've been protesting against the war? They're right there in Moscow, Al. Amazing. Let me start that comment and it might be too early to call and say on that, but we'll certainly ask Gilda the question. Yes, how did you possibly How do you possibly figure that? According to Russia's top generals, Vladimir has begun to wear see-through underwear. They can clearly see he's nuts. Very good, Pete. We did need a bit of light relief here, don't we? Question for Gilda as well. Is it true that expired documents have now been extended to the end of June? Let's put that to her as well. And she, just as we say we're going to put that to her, she arrives. We'll go through your comments with Gilda this morning and we'll welcome her onto the screen right now. Find out how Mandela is, of course, if he's recovered from his surgery. How are you, Gilda? Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Olá, bom dia.
How's it going?
Okay? Hello? Yes.
Hello?
Fine.
Good. And how's Mandela this morning?
Yes, he's fine. He's recovered.
He's a young fella, isn't he? So recovery should be fairly straightforward for him.
Yes.
I would hope. Excellent. Okay. So all is well with you and everyone at the company, I hope?
Yes, I would say I had a boring week, but no one has a boring week with everything that is happening. So
indeed, welcome to the new boring, I guess we could call it. We don't have new normal, we have a new boring, don't we? Which is quite exciting and quite anxiety-provoking in equal measure. So this was we didn't play this. We showed this. We shared this on Instagram a little bit earlier on. This is the Portuguese government's response to the Ukrainian crisis, which I'm guessing you're in support of. How is it affecting you?
I have many Russian clients.
Yes.
And this is affecting me in a way that the consulates now are putting everything on hold for the Russian visas. And I feel sorry for them because it's not their fault. The Russian population didn't want this war, and now they are feeling the consequences of it. So this is how it's affecting me and my clients. And I had many things going on the Russian consulate, and they said stop everything.
Wow. Okay. Well, that goes back to the question asked here then by Al. Prayers to all Ukrainians. So sorry for what's happening. Protesting against the war in Moscow and scared of being arrested for doing so. I don't know if that's him or he's referring to other people. Him or her. I don't know who you are, Al. We've seen you here occasionally, but the question being answered there: any chances for a Russian to get the D7, or it's delayed, cancelled? So the consulates have been closed down. Of Portuguese work has been recalled back to Portugal.
No, that hasn't happened yet. Well, it's not foreseen to happen soon. But it's like they have suspended the issuing of visas. They said, okay, now we are going to hold on to see what's going to be the situation. So we are not going to make any response to your case.
Okay. And are there any precedents for this? Have you been in this situation before with conflict in other countries, or is this new territory for us, really, this scale and this sort of so close to home as well, I suppose?
So close to home, no. We had some cases in Syria, and close to Afghanistan. We had in Pakistan, which was not easy at all. Also to get the visas, but. Well, for the Ukrainians, it's going to be easy because the government announced that everyone that has family and friends in Portugal, they are going to give free visas for the Ukrainians.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about this because it's a very, very good and quick response to the situation, and this goes back, of course, doesn't it, to the long. Well, relatively long history of Ukrainian people coming to Portugal, which I think began in larger numbers in the late 90s. And they are, of course, the second largest diaspora community after Brazilians in Portugal, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Okay. So what do they do? I mean, what would you suggest is the course of action then and this extends? So if you're a Ukrainian person here, you can extend a safe haven invitation to not just family but friends as well. How do they go about that process?
Okay, so the Bar Association already made some movements, and they say that they can help in a free way, that they can take care of all the papers, and they can for free. And they can make the power of attorneys, even to bring children without the parents or without the father, because they need the authorization to travel without the father. So that has been taken care of. The problem that I see here, it's they need. Well, the airspace, it's not working. They have to go. They have to come in by driving or buses or trains. So it's going to take a while, but.
Yeah, and this is how sanctions affect everyday people, isn't it? Whilst it's designed to hurt the governments and these crazy leaders, who affect people with their sort of egoic urges in this way. Yes, taking Aeroflot out of the air and not able to fly into Europe stops people who want to come here for a safe haven.
And this is the first response, just to reunite people with connect them with people that they already know, so the government don't need to worry in a fast way how to relocate people. But then, of course, there is another way of doing it, is to receive them as refugees and to find employees for them, to find a place for them to stay. But that is going to be like a second stage.
Okay, all right. So, but do you feel as though the Portuguese government and, as you say, the Bar Association, people are ready and happy to help over here in Portugal?
Oh yes, as always.
As always, isn't that beautiful? Thank you very much, Gilda. Very heartwarming. And this, I'm not naming this person because they might not want to be named, but this is somebody who gave me some good information about how we can help as a community here. It would be great if you avoid talking about Russians who are also helpless in this, as in the Russian people are also helpless in this, and limit language to Putin or Russian government. I think that's a really good point of order there, because that is what
I agree because I see many Russian. I know many Russian people, and I have many Russian clients, and I see how they are suffering too.
Yes, indeed. Of course you will, right on the front line of helping Russian people come to Portugal. My heart goes out to Ukrainians. Will it affect other family reunion visas? So what are the possible implications there? I guess there's going to be a rush. There's going to be pressure on appointments and so on. And of course, people in this sort of situation should get priority over others who have a more leisurely and relaxed trajectory. I'll put it that way. What do you think is going to happen then? What will be the pressure on the system with this, Gilda?
I think there should be a pressure, and that there should be a quicker response to that. But I will leave that to Seth.
Yeah. Well, we hope for that then. Question for Gilda. Is it true that, so moving away for a moment from the Ukrainian crisis and situation, but of course we welcome your questions on that and anything else to do with migration. A question for Gilda. Is it true that expired documents have now been extended to the end of June? And this again refers to Seth and their process that they're going through of reorganization and reforming, and lots of staff leaving, etc., and the pressure that's come from the pandemic, as well as their reorganization. Is there any truth in this rumor?
I haven't seen the decree law yet, but so I think it's a rumor that might come true, but it's not. The documentation has not come out yet.
Okay, we need a government level propaganda team to keep saying it so often that it becomes true.
It makes a lot of sense because in June it's when they are going to officially end. So it makes a lot of sense that it's going to happen. Most likely it's going to happen, but there wasn't any decree law issuing yet.
All right, thank you for that. Good question, Pam. Keep them coming on Migration Monday, of course, with Gilda Pereira of Pete, we did that one. So let's say hello to a few people, because people love saying hello to you as well, and to Mandela and to your colleagues at EI. Bon dia, Carl, from a nice, mild Belfast. Well, I'm glad to hear it, Deagle. Top of the morning to you. And hola, bon dia, todos. 80s Brit Jazz Funk Faiza do dia from Touch. Keep on. Carl, if you remember this track in the 80s, this was an 80s funkers classic on the dance floor. Remember the dance moves. I'll do my best. I'm not familiar with that. I'll look it up after the show to put a spring in my step for the rest of the day. Thank you, Chris, for that. Zay Marti, a Cuban poet. Una rosa blanca. I have a white rose to tend in July, as in January. I give it to the true friend who offers his frank hand to me. Okay, I'm not sure quite what's going on there, but and to the cruel one. Okay, so the rest of the poem or song here. A poem whose blows break the heart by which I live. Thistle nor thorn do I give, for him too I have a white rose. So I think extending compassion and understanding for fellow human beings, as I can make out there. Sorry, I think the comment format ruined the structure of that poem. Forgive me, Michelle, for completely ruining that. but I think we're getting top notes of compassion and understanding there, and yes, sensibleness, as we've come to expect from this community. The sooner we stop relying on fossil fuels, fewer wars will be fought. Current attack is primarily over natural gas and Putin's fear of NATO. I'm sure that plays a part in it, Suze. But there's something about human nature as well, isn't there? That, you know, it seems like the fossil fuels bring out the worst in people, and something that's underlying there that needs healing and transforming in humanity. Bon dia, Carl, and everyone there from Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I have some lovely friends from Ukraine who live in Portugal. Found myself constantly thinking about them over the last few days and worrying about their family back in Ukraine. Understandably so, Chris. We're doing what we can to help the Ukrainian people in this crisis at the moment, as you can see this morning. And Victoria, I'll see my first Benfica match on Saturday. They will come to Portimão to challenge the Portimonenses. What's going to happen there, Gilda, do you think? Portimonenses are going to get their botties kicked, aren't they? As well as the footballs.
I don't know, but have you seen what happened yesterday with the Benfica game?
I played the video and I was crying, quite frankly. Wasn't it beautiful? What a moment. I played it. Thanks to Benfica for that. That was a truly brilliant moment. That's what we're capable of, folks. Isn't that lovely? Because that's what we're really like, I think. And then this other stuff comes in and causes all this sort of nonsense that's going on at the moment. So on a cultural note then, because we do like to consult you on cultural matters, preparing for one's first Portuguese football match, what do you take along to your first football match in Portugal? A strong bladder. What else?
A scarf.
A scarf of the correct
from the team that you are supporting.
Yes, and preferably the same color as the people around you inside the ground, right?
Yes, make sure you choose the correct seats.
Okay, so we've got the dress code and we've got the bladder code. What are we doing? I mean, I was holding my piece of tourada this morning. Look at that, Gilda. You'll be proud of me. I hadn't really had toast until I came to Portugal. I don't want to drop this on the desk because it will break the desk or something here and cover everything in butter. But isn't that amazing, tourada? What do you eat at a Portuguese football match?
Bifanas.
Bifanas, of course. Oh, you'll be so proud of me. I took some American friends to a proper Portuguese cafe. Not in the town, along the road, and lots of Portuguese workmen in there. And they go in there for a sagres mini and a bifana. And I went in and took my friends into there. What a lovely treat that is. Bifanas, very, very important part of Portuguese life. So that's what you got. And you're going to be drinking beer. Oh, no, you can't drink beer inside a football ground.
No, but it's before you go into the match and after.
Okay, so a couple of sagres before or after there, Victoria. Bifanas, get the right scarf on. I think she's good to go, isn't she?
Yeah.
Anything else you should know? She should be shouting and screaming quite a lot as well, right?
Yes, of course.
Abusing the referee, that sort of thing. Started a week's fitness course with an old school friend. Hey, growing old disgracefully. Action there. Love to see that, Pete. Send pics. Looks like we want before and after. Looks like I am in for an ice wallow come Wednesday. Oh, you're doing the Wim Hof stuff. As he says, we have to have cold showers, swims every morning. I think he's just trying to get you in the shower with him. You say old school friend. We've all got an old school friend like that who wants to have a shower with you. So let us know how that goes, as much as you possibly want to anyway. Bon dia, todos. I hope you've all had a super weekend. Hey, Andy, how are you? And bon dia, Carl and the Gumpers from Botswana this morning. And that's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? Thank you, Victoria, for that. Bon dia, alegria todos. What a magnificent moment. Happy week to all, and prayers that things will take a turn for the better in that part of the world. Thank you, Francis, for that. Yeah, Baddy doing the same thing here. And Matty, I am back from the dog walk. Coffee at the ready. So you might have missed out. Mandela is doing fine, Matty. You'll be pleased to know, after the surgery and the children being reunited with their plastic toys. Coffee at the ready and looking forward to a good gump. Don't forget the like buttons. Who doesn't like a good gump in the mornings? I think we've got a picture of that somewhere. I did carefully make that. Who doesn't like a good gump in the mornings? So many pictures here. So, of course, I can't find it. Oh, here we go. This is the one. And this is the schedule where you will see, of course, Mondays, Segunda with Gilda here. Let me just take that comment off for a moment. That's how it looks. And who doesn't like a good gump in the morning? Let me take that off as well. There you go. Let's go back then to your lovely Sorry, Gilda, hiding you there. That's not fair, is it?
No, it's fine.
Okay, another quote of the day. I long for the day humankind is able to resolve its conflicts, not with violence, but with reasoned, healthy dialogue and negotiation. Well, yeah, and that was the great James Holly, who also entertained people under the name MC Slug. So a lovely, great quote of the day. Thank you, James. Why not quote ourselves? That's worthy of sharing at the same level as Carlin and Stephen Wright there. Okay, yeah, Chris, hopefully I can get some footage of the mighty Benfica. Yes, we'd love to see that. How splendid. Even if you don't like the game, you'll love the ritual. Says, yes, of course. I mean, that's something you should do. That's got to be there in the top 20 of things to do in Portugal, right, Gilda? Go to a Portuguese football match.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Thursday's webinar sounds like a fun time. Gilda, we're talking about pets here in Portugal on Thursday. The Sintra castles and palaces are lit every night. That's amazing. Thank you, Deborah, for letting us know. On Saturday, I saw they were lit blue and yellow. Can we have a picture, if you remember? And Moaz, I'm always lazy. I just suck it up when I actually must get something done. Okay, dealing with procrastination. If I give up alcohol, and people are, Gilda, did you know that people are giving up alcohol between the 29th of February? Yeah, 29th to the 31st of February. It's going to be quite difficult for some people. If I give up alcohol, I guess you can replace that word with beer because it's all I drink. I'll give it up for Feb because it's the shortest month. Yes, we spotted that. Prayers from Al. Okay, so we shared this before, and I think we've answered that, Al. Anything else we can do, let us know. Jim White's here, who you know, of course, as well, Gilda. Bon dia, todos. Wife's not a fan, but I love the smell of washing when a neighbour does a bonfire. That fresh air and charcoal combo. Carl, tomorrow is Pancake Tuesday in Ireland. Do they celebrate it in Portugal? Then Ash Wednesday, start of Lent. Okay, the kids went to a drama group at the weekend. And do you know what? My 10-year-old said he was giving up, Gilda. Can you believe this? He said he was going to give up smoking. He's going to give up smoking, my 10-year-old. He's so naughty. He's so naughty. He was just showing off in front of the girls, I think, at the drama club. But anyway, Lent, of course, people preparing themselves for Lent. Pancake Tuesday, have you heard of such a thing? And is there an equivalent in Portugal? Oh, okay. So no, every day is confectionery day and cake day in Portugal. So we don't have to wait for one Tuesday of the year. So no, we don't have that by the sound of it. Although a few expats will be. Actually, we should give a warning to Portuguese people, Gilda. If you go to the supermarket and there's no flour or lemons left, it is because it's Pancake Tuesday and the expats are at it. 59 watching, 71 now, only 12 likes. Let's help GMP by hitting that like button. Everyone, 1, 2, 3, hit the like button. I'm watching. Twigger alert. What does that mean? Or trigger alert, not Twigger, perhaps. Raj is here, who I think you know as well. Bon dia todos. Thank you for your lovely message, Raj, about my mum, who made her debut last week. 3 a.m. Sarah, hello. Still no sleep. ISKCON in Ukraine and around the world is offering food and shelter. So the Society for Krishna Conscious, Hare Rama, there. Good morning. Thank you for that. So many people stepping up in a great humanitarian way, right? Jean is here. Hello, Jean. I still cannot figure out how to get WhatsApp and YouTube to connect on my iPhone. Hopefully soon. Okay, well, yeah, you just send me messages in the usual way then. Remembering that at the same time as war in Ukraine, Saudi Arabia has been bombing Yemen with the UK and USA bombs and planes for 8 years. Absolutely right. We cannot point a finger at the highest level. I think it's down to us human beings to do the right thing, isn't it? At the lowest, so-called lowest levels, and we represent the highest morals, I suspect, when we reach out human to human. UN report has projected that the death toll from Yemen's war was what? It's disgusting, isn't it? Disgraceful behavior there. And well said, Prof. Bon dia, Gilda. Okay, hoping to visit. One for you, Gilda. Hoping to visit your office in early April. Question. If one buys a property with a ruin on it, could that property be used to satisfy the criteria of a place to live in Portugal? It's a good one. We love this question, Marty, Gilda.
Yes, if you have the final deed or the promissory purchase agreements, yes, they are not going to check
to see if it's three rocks.
If you choose to live there or not.
Right, because some people like that. A lot of people. Are you surprised by this, Gilda, about how many expats come over and are very happy to buy a hole in the ground, which they have big hopes and dreams for. Does that surprise you and other Portuguese people?
No, I know that people like and then to buy old houses and refurbish them. But I would like to advise you, Marty, that, for instance, I know that many people and many refurbished contracting firms are already fully booked until the end of the year, and we are in February. So
Okay.
it's not going to be easy,
Yes,
because the materials aren't enough, and they are taking too long to arrive, and also the manpower, it's not a lot. It's a lack of manpower.
and who would know that? Yeah, quite. Go on.
And let me just clarify something here. I think that it was last week that I told that if someone wants to buy a house here, they can show the promissory purchase agreement, okay, instead of a rental agreement. And then I got many emails of people being scared that they had to buy, that I said that they had to buy a house for a D7. No, I didn't say that. They just need to rent a house for a year. But what happens is, people like Marty, if they want to buy a house here, they can show either the final deed or the promissory purchase agreement. But if they don't want to buy a house here, they need to show the rental agreement.
Yeah, basically, logically, you need to demonstrate that you've got somewhere to live, right? I mean, that's very sensible. That be a requirement. Should we also add, though, Gilda, that it must be an official address, as in, you can't just buy a bit of land with no house on it, or is that okay as well?
No, it has to be an official address.
Yeah, okay, and that often is, you can tell that because it's got a letterbox and it's in the local camera and so on. It will be registered. It must be a registered abode, right, here in Portugal.
Because you need to remember that your resident permit, it's going to that address.
Yes. Yeah. So it might blow away if it's not. Yes, that's a really good point. Back to the practicalities and the logic again. Thank you, Gilda, for that. So, Marty, I hope that's cleared that up. If it's not, do let us know. Antonio FSA, bom dia a todos. Good morning to you, Antonio. Great that you're here. Questions. Up the Extons. Questions for Gilda, please. Travel insurance. I found a year-long insurance, but longest trip is 100 days. Is that enough? Also, my marriage certificate is from 2012. So will the consulate accept it? Should we do that last bit first? I mean, presumably, why would she be worried if her marriage certificate is from 2012? Is it too old a document? Does it need to be fresher than that?
It needs to be fresher than that. Unfortunately, they ask it for 6 months old.
Yes. Okay, so it does need to be fresher than that. So they won't accept the 2012. You need to get a newer version of it, or other options?
No,
get a newer version. Good question then, Sarah. And back to the insurance things. 100 days is not going to be long enough, is it? I mean, it is going to be if you're only coming for that period and you're coming for your 90 days. But go on, Gilda.
No, it should be the travel insurance should be for the period of the visa. The visa is 120 days, so the travel insurance should be for 120 days.
So 20 days short there. Now, I've got some good news for everybody. Nuno Mendes of Insurance has been working on a product to satisfy this very issue. And I tell you what, you can surprise him. He's going to talk about it, and we're going to launch it officially next Tuesday, a week tomorrow. But there are obviously people who need it before then. So let's not hold that suspense for those people who need it. Sarah, give Nuno, or drop me a line, and then let's chat with Nuno about that, because he has got a special D7 focused insurance product, which is great news. Excellent news. Well done, Nunu, for figuring that out. We'll launch it officially next Tuesday, but I'm sure he'll be happy to help you if you get in touch with him before then. This is a good point, isn't it? How are we expected to remember anything more than 5 minutes ago? Yes, that's the world we live in, isn't it? You're quite right. And yes, again, Alda, interesting how the Western media is ignoring Israel's air raids in Syria. Yes, of course. You're absolutely right. Can't deny that. Bon dia, tudo bem. I mean, just stop bombing each other, people. It's quite simple. I have a D7 question. If my family is granted a D7 visa, thank you, Justin, would my 18-year-old son be able to study in the UK, or would this breach the terms of his Portuguese residency? Obrigado from Justin there.
I don't know where is he from, but I don't know where are you from, but if you have a D7 for Portugal, this doesn't mean that your son can study in the UK, because the residency that it's granted, it's going to be for Portugal, not for UK.
Okay, as I understood the question, the son is coming here with the family, but can they stay behind or go back to the UK to study?
No, he needs to have a residency visa in the UK to study there.
I think this person is, I think they are Brits. I think they're Brits. But Justin, can you clarify that? You can see how we're struggling to answer there. Can you clarify for us there? Glad to have your question and want to answer it. So help us a little bit there. And for the D7 visa, Sarah saying, yeah, I think we've dealt with that, haven't we, Sarah? But Nunu's your man to make sure you get that. And I'm sure he's got a nice competitive price on it as well. Have a chat with him. Eusebio, Prof, you just beat me to it. Never mind Israel's occupation of Palestine for 50 plus years, indeed. The Putin Russian government, same for Trump, and only nearly 50% of American voters. Yes, indeed. This polarity is killing us, folks, and how we do things. It's crazy. It's an ill-fitting shoe for sure. Carl, Aeroflot is a Russian airline. It's not going to help the Ukrainians, and they are not going to take it, says Moaz. I think Aeroflot is a commercial operation, though, isn't it? And it may well fly anybody who wants to use the commercial service. But as a sanction, of course, a Russian commercial airline or any Russian aircraft are not allowed in European airspace, as I understand it. Fiona and Simon, thoughts to all the people caught in conflict. We're all human. Absolutely right. And isn't it crazy that we have to be reminded of that? As a German chancellor said yesterday, this is Putin's war, not Russia's. Well said again. I think we're on the same page here, aren't we? I agree. Russians don't want this war, and thousands have been in jail after protesting it. Okay, I have no love for Trump, but Obama was more hawkish in his foreign policy. Yes, steady where we go with all of this, but yes, you're absolutely right, of course. The grinning assassin. Good morning, Gumpers. Down with Putin from Simone as well. And all other psychopathic, narcissistic plonkers who are ruining life for people on planet Earth. I'm going to add them to that. Plonker is a term of not of endearment, Gilda, just in case anyone else needs to know that. Okay, I was only attempting, and rather poorly, to emphasize that it was just the leader. There you go. Yes, leader in inverted commas, but nearly 50% of American voters. Okay. Gemini's here. Good morning, everyone. And of course, the comments here are referring to the Ukrainian crisis, and quite rightly so. But to get you any migration inquiries, concerns you have, and Gilda will answer them as she does every Monday. Portuguese tailgating. What's this? Is this something you should do in your top 20? As well as go to a football match, just drive really close to the person in front as an experience. It's going to happen to you. There will be somebody behind you. Get used to it. Bola bon dia, Gilda, bonus track of the day. I think this is very apt for you on the Good Morning Portugal. Luther Van Dross with never too much. Tune! We just can't get enough of your knowledge and humor. We love Gilda. How about that?
Thank you.
Putin has monopoly on natural gas in Europe, says Suze. They pay Ukraine for pipeline to pass through. Ukraine has lots of untapped natural gas, not developed due to cost. EU membership could see it developed for Europe. Political analysis coming into, and a great explanation, says Alda, who's also here. Carl, do you know if we have Ukrainians or Russians on the Expats Portugal Forum? One way to find out. Let's see. Let's reach out. Let's show solidarity, love, compassion, and help, why not ask that question on the forum? I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do in our fast approaching, or 10,000 we're coming up to on the Expats Portugal forum, 10,000 subscribers. You know, we're getting close to 20,000 people. I know that some of those are the same people, but that's many thousands of people. And I suspect many of them, some of them at least, are Ukrainian or Russian there. I'm devastated. I'm protesting. Oh, okay. I'm likely to go to jail instead of Portugal, as D7 for Russians are now cancelled. Dear, oh dear, Al, you be careful there. I guess you've got to do what you've got to do, right? But be careful. And I'm sorry to hear of this for your personal situation. That's awful. My favorite poem by Pablo Neruda, Because I Love You. Are you going to send us that, Prof? There comes a moment when conflicts gain a human face. The pointless war in Ukraine now has one. Paulina, a little girl killed by invading forces. I've sent her image on WhatsApp. Treasure. I don't know if I could bear to show that, Doug, but I get the gist. Carl, haha, I love your kids. They are so unique and funny. You and Miss have done a great job. Oh, yes, my 10-year-old giving up smoking for Lent. My dear Gilda, a film recommendation for the kids is The Witches. Michelle, a film fan, and continue.
Yeah.
Do you like The Witches? Do they like Roald Dahl?
And I never saw it.
I'll second that. GMP, the surreal space between humor and war. Yeah. And what can we do? What can we do? I'm a great fan of Obama, but I agree with you as far as hawkish foreign policies. Yes, indeed. Hey, Gilda, question then. Ian Bell, what do you and the Portuguese authorities think about employers of record? I don't know what that means. My London employers are keen to use one, primarily to meet Portuguese labour law, rather than tax purposes. Employers of record, what does that mean, Gilda?
Employees of record.
Do we need further explanation on what that phrase?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Ian, sorry we can't help immediately, but you know we want to. And so give us a little bit more on that. Maybe a translation matter, an equivalent, a Portuguese equivalent. A guy purchased some rustic land and placed old blocks on it. This sounds like a joke, and said that it was a ruin, thinking he could build. He was sadly and expensively disappointed. Caveat emptor. You made a very good point before, Gilda. Not many people do factor and figure this in, do they? That they imagine, don't they? I'll go to Portugal and I'll just employ, the raw materials that will be better value, and there'll be lots of people looking for work. It's not true. The great craftspeople are either busy or have left the country, and the price of timber, for example, has gone through the roof. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
So be careful, folks. In many ways, you're better off getting a modest base camp of a proper abode, as well as looking for your ruin. That I think that people have said that here in this community. I think Chris might agree with that. Okay, so a few links have been put in. These are from my source who was advising me on some of the best things to do for the Ukrainian crisis. And if you want to donate in money to help Ukrainian people, I haven't checked any of these myself. You'll have to check them out yourself to make sure they're okay and they're not on GoFundMe, who might just take the money anyway. But please proceed with caution, but those are some leads for you. Back to Ian Bell, then. I'm concerned this might compromise my D7 application if my primary source of income is technically paid by an employer of record within Portugal. So please tell us what that is, and we'll come back to that, Ian. Gilda, is there a minimum cost for a house ruin purchase? Oh, that's interesting. I don't suppose Seth would be looking into how much you paid for it, would they?
No, there isn't a minimum cost.
Okay, so yeah, if you get yourself a nice bargain or someone gives you a house, it's not unheard of. Somebody told me they were up in the, those lovely schist houses, and they were standing outside one up there in Lausanne, I believe, and they were admiring this house, and the fella who was in it said, "I've lived here long enough, you can have it if you like," and gave it to them. Whether or not that is true, I do not know, but it's a nice story anyway, isn't it? I can see it now, an empty plot of land with nothing but a mailbox. Don't do that. Boaz, Gilda, my friend from the States is a caregiver and told me he's willing to come and help me. Can I sponsor him on my D7 visa? Okay, this is a good little case study then. If you are coming and you need to bring a carer with you, how would you approach that, please, Gilda?
It's possible.
Okay, so you apply jointly, or what? How does that work? You make that very clear in your early application.
Yes. Or we can make a work contract for that person.
Okay, very good. There are ways, Moaz, it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lovely opportunity for the caregiver possibly as well there.
Mm-hmm.
So Justin was from the UK. Carl, you are right. I'm just guessing. Justin Bartholomew sounds like a very fine British name. We would move from the UK to Portugal. Can my son still attend university in the UK? And how would that affect the residency here?
Okay, he will need to have a residence in Portugal. He will need to show that because he's already 18 years old, he will need to show that he's enrolled in a Portuguese university or in a Portuguese school. As he's going to study in the UK, he's not going to be able to do that. So he needs to apply to a visa for UK.
As you said before. Okay, yes, he is an adult and he's not going to be here in this country. So he has to get his own visa and find his own way here, Justin, unless you change now and consider studying at a Portuguese university, which is now the question, of course. Another quote of the day. Hope that helps, Justin. Not the best of news, possibly, but I hope that's clearer. Another quote of the day. I dream of the day all the soldiers refuse to engage in war. That's James Holly. The famous James Holly again. Plonker, is that similar to Muppet? Yes, it is, and not in a good way. Carl, tailgating is the party you have from the back of your cars in the parking lot of the stadium. Okay, so tell us more, Gilda. Do you know what they're talking about here? The party you have from the back of your car in the parking lot of the stadium. So do Portuguese people do that? Do they have a barbecue in the car park?
Yes, they do. They do.
Of course they do. Of course they do. I can imagine it's brilliant. 3 courses, beer, wine, whatever.
Chorizo, presunto.
Yes. Flaming chorizo of doom before you go in there. Fantastic. Tailgating. There you go. Not an experience on the road. It is an experience on the road. Now I understand. Thank you, Victoria. And I hope you will do it justice. Imagine Putin out in the square all by himself, cursing the enemy and airboxing. Yes, that's how we should think of him, right? That's crazy. But not to underestimate the craziness, of course. Tailgating, US, barbecue in the car park. Thank you, Sarah, for that. We have a CEF meeting on Wednesday. Thank you, Gilda, Christina, Andrea, and Philippa. Look at that. 4 people from the team working on the case for the Whites there. Good luck with that. Zelensky is a hero. Putin is a zero. Well, that's a bumper sticker right there, isn't it? Done now. That's it. That's enough. That's all we're getting, I think, from Sue. She's had enough of it. Tailgating, yeah, there you go. Party on the tailgate of your truck. Also following a car too closely. That's what I thought it was, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for pointing that out. Oh, tailgating is also driving right on the bumper of the car. Yes, of course it is. What can we do? Hope for the best and plan for the worst. Going back to chorizo there. Yes, plan for the worst. Take sausage with you to the football match. I'd like to see Zelensky meet with Putin and tell him he is there to accept the surrender of the Russian forces. Well, yes, we get your point there, Antonio. I don't think that meeting would go down especially well, would it? With the ego in question there, or egos. Thank you, Gilda and Carl from Sarah. That's good. We helped Sarah there. Great to see you here this morning, Sarah. You can't just buy a plot of land and live on it. It must have a habitation license, as we pointed out. There you go. An employer of record is a 100% legal entity, Mauve, Oyster, that will employ me and pay my salary and invoice my actual employer in various countries, including Portugal. Okay, so they need to be a registered employer. I think that's the point that's being made here. That they pay Portuguese taxes and they meet with Portuguese labor law. Now, so in your experience then, Gilda, when somebody is coming here, how closely and deeply do CEF ratify the legitimacy of the Portuguese company? Because I think that's what's going on here. That's what Ian is concerned about.
Okay, it depends on the type of visa he has.
Okay.
Because if it is a D7, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Relevant.
If it is it's irrelevant. If it is a D2, it's irrelevant. If it is a D1, which is a work visa, that matters.
That may be where the pressure is coming from. D1.
Yes.
Okay, so consider other visa options, but it looks like with the D1, they will be as stringent as that. Thank you for clarifying, Ian. Thank you for clarifying. Gilda as well there. Good morning. Joao F is here. Joao F. And Joao, you sent me some good stuff, didn't you? I'll come back to that later on. And we will spin in everything we possibly can, although this situation isn't going to go in a hurry. So we will feel free to prompt me, folks, if you sent me things on WhatsApp. Is a UK will valid in Portugal? Can you speak to this from Anthony Odell there, please, Gilda?
I don't know, because this is not my area, but this is a private international law.
Right.
But I think there are some rules for it to become valid in Portugal.
Yes, because at the moment it's not the same, is it? The Portuguese law will prevail over your affairs, and wills do vary around the world. And am I right in thinking this? This is one thing about Portuguese matters here, and you have a law background, of course, don't you, Gilda? Are Portuguese contracts and is everything about the law in Portugal managed or facilitated through the government? It's not peer-to-peer, it's not person-to-person. Everything finds its way back to the government in Portuguese law. Is that right?
Yeah, everything is based on the law. Of course, there is some contracts that it's from people to people, but it's very different from your system. Here is everything is based on the law.
As created by the government and through the government.
Yes.
Okay, so all kind of roads lead back to the government when it comes to legal matters. Well, pretty much anything, in fact. I do not love you because I love you. Oh, I might mess this up as well because I'm not getting the pentameters or stanzas right here, am I? I do not love you except because I love you. I don't know where the lines begin and end here, Gilda. I do not love you except because I love you. I go from loving to not loving you, from waiting to not waiting for you. My heart moves from cold to fire. Again, the human condition. We're not afraid to go there here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream from Expats Portugal. Cindy B, I believe Putin's army will lose their teeth in Ukraine. It's too much for them to chew. Yes, and they won't be the first, right? I love you. Oh, okay, we got that again. We carry on. I love you only because it's you, the one I love. I hate you deeply, and hating you bend to you. Well, this sounds like a messy relationship. And the measure of my changing love for you is that I do not see you, but love you blindly. We've all been there. Some of us are still there. Some of us are hoping to go there. But it happens, doesn't it? It happens. Enjoy. Alternatively, how can my London company meet Portuguese labour laws once I am in Lisbon without the employer of record? So, okay, I guess they can help you with a different visa other than the D1 and examine the D2 and D7 routes. They may be able to. So, I mean, can a company legally help someone get a D7? I suppose they can, can't they? They could.
Yes, the company can. If you want, you can still work for the London company under the British rules, okay, and then you just have a paper from the company saying that you are able to work remotely. You don't need to work under the Portuguese labor laws because you are working for a British company, okay. And they provide you a letter saying that you are able to work remotely, and you can apply for a D7.
There you go, Ian. Hope that helps. Get in touch with EI via our business directory. Go to expatsportugal.com and look under migration in the business directory there. And if you need further clarification or if you just want to get on with it and get some help from here we go. I think this poem's continuing here, Gilda. I hope it ends well, don't you? Maybe January light will consume my heart with its cruel ray, stealing my key to true calm. He's a passionate fella, isn't he, old Eusebio? In this part of the story, I am the one who dies, the only one. Oh, and I will die I will die of love because I love you. Because I love you, love in fire and blood. Wow. I did go out with a woman like that once. Oh, wow, Gilda. I didn't expect that at all from Moaz. I kind of told my friend, no way, Zay. But that's very good news for both of us. So it's doable, possible. Great news from Gilda this morning on a D2 visa. David Wagner, good morning to you. Can your business income be from outside of Portugal?
Yes, it can, but the income needs to be the taxes need to be paid in Portugal.
There you go. David, simply dealt with there. Again, get in touch with EI. Thanks. Does it make a difference that he'll be 17 when we actually move to Portugal? Technicality. So he is a child then, isn't he? And
yes, that makes a difference. Then he can make the family reunion.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go, Justin. That's good news. We've brought success back from the jaws of failure there. Justin, get in touch with EI for more clarification. And it sounds like you need to get a move on with that by the sound of it. One more. A comedian and a boxer take on Putin. Comedians kill with laughter and boxers with knockouts. Well, hey, now talking of comedians, Gilda, look, you know Jim here on the right, and Tamara, of course, who was with you.
Oh, great.
Wasn't it great fun talking to Tamara last Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great lad. Telling jokes in Portuguese as well. So thank you, Jim, for that. What a fantastic picture. How was it? I think you've had a great evening there by the look on your faces. Fantastic. And again, we did go from humor to crisis here. Going back to this, can you translate this for us so I don't make a complete mess, please? Thank you, João F, for this, who sent in Areiro, which that's in the capital, of course, isn't it? That particular freguesia there. But look, medical supplies, clothes, hygiene products, that sort of thing. Anything else I've missed there? I don't think there's quite a lot, Gilda. What should people do here for urgent help in Ukraine?
So it's medical products, material for construction, clothes, and products such as shampoos, toothpaste,
humanitarian
pillows. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm guessing that there's a collection there, 28th of Feb today between 4. If you're in capital and you want to help, these are humanitarian packages, basically, aren't they?
Yeah.
To help people who are on the move, who've been displaced, and so on. Thank you, João, very much for that. Do I need to do show notes and put all these things in one place? I only need one person to say yes, and I will take care of it later on today. Love the show, says Justin. Thanks for everything you do. It's a pleasure. De nada. From us. Abel's here. Look, last night, the old Perth Bridge crossing the river Tay was lighting up blue and yellow to show support for Ukraine. Great to see we all stand against evil Putin. Or Putin, as you might call him over there in Scotland. And Americans do as well, don't they? Putin. Do I have to pay my caregiver friend, or is room and board enough? I guess that's a contract between you and the caregiver, isn't it, Gilda?
Yes. But the contract needs to be at least the Portuguese minimum wage, and it needs to say that you are going to give him a place to stay. Okay, so room and board isn't enough. You do have to meet the Portuguese minimum wage requirement. I was invited to a block party in Charleston. Being from the UK, I didn't know what a block party was. Got out of the car and asked the cop, "Where's the block party?" He replied, "Look around you." Yes, even with the same language, we're getting these little pickles, don't we? Hi, Gilda. Hopefully you had a boring week. And you can confirm that you did, right?
Yes, I did.
Expats Portugal, Carl, can you end the show with your Carnation Revolution track that you played a few weeks ago? If not today, then tomorrow, Chris. Yes, I'd be delighted to. I love what that woman said about the Carnation Revolution. I was glad to set it to some music. And yes, it was Jim White, the 1965 mystery man. Guessed correctly at the end of last week. Employer of record, no, it was D7, but under my current application is my only own source income, hence my concern. I think he needs to call you, doesn't he, to get to the bottom of this?
On source income, it's a D7.
Yeah, but I think that there is this concern about the insistence on an employer of record. I think that's something, I think that granular level needs some discussion there, Ian, and I'll make sure the right contact details go into the chat. A Brit fellow said to my Canadian friend, "I'll knock you up in the morning." Her response, "I don't think so." Knocking up is a totally different thing in Canada. That's how me and Mrs. M got ourselves into so much trouble. Superb. Muito obrigado from Justin there. And early exit today. Got to head to a meeting. Have a wonderful Monday, everyone. Ciao, ciao to you from MC Slug there. When I made when I made my UK will, I was told it was only valid in the UK, and I think that's true. It may stand as some sort of indicative document, but I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true, Brian. Alda, Ukraine's capital of organ trafficking and human trafficking is also rampant. When is the UN going to pay attention to this? Probably never, Alda, and it will come down to the likes of you and me to make sure these sorts of things are ridden from the world. Let us pray for that madman Putin, says Joaf, not to push the red button and fry us all. It seems he has passed any decency, totally lost his mind. Hope he doesn't think he can survive nuclear hell. Pretty powerful stuff there, Joao. There are collection points for Ukraine throughout the country, not just there in Aroeira, that other place in Lisbon there. That really chills my blood. Of course it does. As a sentient, caring human being, it would do, wouldn't it, Joao? I think it's something to do with knock you up, as in ring you up. That's right. The suggestion there was quite a mundane one, really. Boring week. Great to hear. Good vibes. And Georgie George is here as well. Let me just scan to see if there are any more questions, which I don't think there are. At which point we can wish you another boring week, Gilda, unless there's anything else you want to share with us this morning.
No, I don't think so. I just hope that the situation gets better and that I'll try to get some visas from my Russian clients, and I can help some Ukrainian people to get here.
Indeed, I'm sure you will, Gilda. Thank you so much. All the best to the colleagues at the office there, and I'll make sure people have, Ian, I think especially, the contact details for getting in touch with you. Have a great day. Have a boring week.
Thank you. I'll try.
Okay, off she goes there. Gilda Pereira. Fantastic. Always great to talk with Gilda and hang out on a Monday morning. Every Monday, folks, she's here to help with your inquiries. So let me just find the link to EI this morning. And Casa Portuguesa, of course, as well. Migration Consulting, that's what you click under. And I'm going to give you that link right now in the comments. I think I'm going to have a little bit of a breather. I might have a bite of cold toast, mi torrada. That's going to be horrible now, isn't it? That needs to be hot and runny. And who doesn't like something hot and runny in the mornings? Here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. There's the link for Gilda right there in the comments for you now. Ian, that's for you especially. But anybody who wants to get in touch, Justin, you might need to as well, because you need to get a wiggle on, I think, getting the 17-year-old residency before he goes back to UK for university life. How exciting is that? Love you, Gilda from T-Duck. Just missed that one there. But if I speak to her later today, I'll pass that on. Maybe this is a question for Bubble Off Friday, which is called now, that I do with the T-Duck. How can we determine the truth behind crises rife with propaganda? What a fantastic question, Sam. I mean, what's your... I mean, yeah, absolutely delighted to talk about that Bubble Off Centre sort of content on a Friday at 10:30. Absolutely. But yes, isn't this... I mean, what's happened? I mean, propaganda ain't what it used to be, right? We have so many sources of information, and they're working it as well, aren't they? The powers that shouldn't be are working this. The culture wars, the misinformation, the false flags, all that stuff. I mean, I understand why people don't want to watch any of it and just get on with having a happy life in their own little neighborhood, which I don't think is necessarily... well, it is kind of burying your head in the sand in a way, but, you know, I have a lot of sympathy for it. I really do. Okay. Hey, okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. What's that? Oh, I see. That's for someone else, not for me. I thought that was Sue's like, okay, buddy, that's quite enough of that. Yes. Still talking about knocking each other up in the comments. In fact, have we had a Good Morning Portugal baby yet? Or a wedding? We're looking forward to those milestones of the community. So do let us know. I love jam and butter on toast. Thank you, Moaz, for sharing. Torrada, you haven't had toast, mate, until you get here to Portugal. So let's go to that 2-minute taster now and see if I can find the thing you mentioned, because it is a poignant and excellent thing to share as you requested, Chris. Here's Dougie's recent Tavera Nights as we draw to a close on this Monday morning.
Good morning, everybody. Time for some Tavera Nights. Another little montage of exactly what you might expect. Ah, indeed. There's only probably one thing better than a Tavira night, and that's more than likely a Tavira day. What do you think, Carl?
Isn't he brilliant? Dougie, thank you so much for that. And thank you for your commentary with your conversation that you had with young Ukrainian and Russian people there in Yalgov. That's superb. Thank you for that. A lovely, rousing soundtrack. Chris, I can't find that clip, but I will do. Don't you worry. I am lost. Yes, I can understand that. Gilda, sorry, I've been trying to ask questions whilst in the meeting. Oh, okay. There's a conflicting advice. Yes, I would suggest getting directly in touch there, Ian. And as if your attention was distracted, then just give them a ring, just give them a call at EI. There, go in via our business directory, and just follow on. Let them know you're having a chat with us on the show this morning. For me, says Suze, toast has to be hot with melted butter. Cold toast with whatever you have smeared in it, Cole, looks inedible. That is butter, but it's coagulated. I need to just stick it under the grill for a little while, or I'll fry it. Shall I fry it when we finish today? I hope everyone has a happy Monday. Discard everything that does not spark joy. It comes to that, doesn't it? And nice photos. And what a song. Yeah, it was a good song. Very good track chosen there. Hopefully it doesn't get me struck from YouTube. And my favorite toast is made of rye bread, hot with butter melting on it. Bought some rye flour in Auchan yesterday, Antonio F. You'll be pleased. You'll be proud of me. We're going to make bread at home with rye flour. Centeno. Be soft, says Fiona and Simon. Do not let the world make you hard. Do not let the pain make you hate. Do not let the bitterness steal your sweetness. I am going to leave that on the screen as a final thought today. Come back to that. Take pride that even though the rest of the world may disagree, you still believe it to be a beautiful place. Ian Thomas. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for that, Joao. No matter how bad local mafia may be in any country, Ukraine being no exception, no people should be suffering war just to satisfy the thirst for power of a madman. Absolutely right. I'm going to put all of these back on the screen. And love for Tavira there from Gene. I can pass that on to you. I'm sure Doug won't mind if you want to excite yourself about your destination there, Gene. And yes, Antonio, you're right. Fiona and Simon, great thoughts. That brings us up to 10 o'clock. Well, we'll say goodbye for today. We'll do what we can, of course, to help the people of the Ukraine and anyone else we can help, human to human, of course. Oh, and I've got some pictures here. Thank you very much for these. There was a solidarity with Ukraine meetup in Lisbon yesterday. So let me just share those with you quickly now, which is great. Thank you for those, Bruno, appreciate it. And thank you, Sabio, for sending me the words to the Neruda poem there. So just very quickly then, going to Lisbon yesterday and the solidarity gathering. I don't think it was a march necessarily, but there you go. This is what was happening. Portuguese people in Portugal, people in Lisbon standing with Ukraine there. Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing those. Well, a lot of people gathering. We don't want this, do we? We don't want this nonsense. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Let's see what we can do as the week unfolds. See you tomorrow with serenity at the very least. And of course, your contributions are 913-590-303 on the WhatsApp. Take care. Bye for now. Have a good day. And don't let it get to you too much.